Welcome to an episode of Founder in the Chair. I'm your host, Veena, and I have a really vibrant lady with me today. She turned a so-called failure into a viral celebration of freedom. Raised in a culture where divorce was taboo, she's now on a mission to redefine self-worth in South Asian communities, challenging outdated beliefs and empowering others to break free from the societal expectations. She was meant to be in the Founder's Chair back in March. We're now in May, but a near-death experience changed everything. We are so lucky to have her here today to share her incredible journey. I'm so excited to welcome Sonia Gupta to the Founder's Chair. Welcome.
Hi, Veena. How are you?
I'm good. One of my most vibrant guests. I love the pink.
Thank you. It's all about the pink.
I love it. I love it.
Well, people say, is pink your favourite colour? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
even my hair's pink.
Yeah, my hair's pink. But everyone always says, like, why did you go pink? And I actually don't have an answer.
When did you go pink?
Yeah. So it kind of just evolved.
Yeah.
So I've always been one to have, like, different colours and had a bit of red and had a bit of purple.
I think I met you when you had purple.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And then it just evolved and I wanted to get brighter and brighter.
Yeah.
And then I think I was going to Ascot one year.
Uh-huh.
And my hairdresser was like, let's just go brighter, Sonia.
Uh-huh.
And we did this pink and it has just stayed.
Wow.
Apart from when I was in hospital, I was grey.
Oh, bless
People
you.
walk past me and
Yeah.
they're like, didn't know who they're looking for. They're like, where's the girl with the pink hair?
Oh, wow.
And my friends were walking past. I'm like, I'm here.
Oh,
But yeah,
we're going to talk about
that.
the
in a bit.
hospital.
Yeah.
So, Sonia, your divorce party went viral. What message did you hope to send by celebrating this milestone? And how did it shift the conversation around divorce in South Asian communities?
Okay, so in all honesty, I threw a party for me and my kids. It was really just to say thank you to my friends that had supported me over the 10 years, 12 years, that period that we were going through a lot of stuff. And it was just at home in my back garden, just to say thank you to everybody. We've come out the other side, you know?
Yeah.
The whole time we were living there, the kids couldn't really have their friends over.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm a social person.
Yeah.
My friends stopped coming over. The environment wasn't great, right? So I didn't expect my friends to come over. So I'm always one that wanted to host things. So I was like, going to have a party. I threw the party just for me and my kids. I had no idea it was going to go viral. So there was no expectation of that. It was just something I was doing for me and my kids to
Yeah.
say, hey, we're happy. We've come out the other side. Thank you. This is a new beginning.
Yeah.
So when people say, why did you throw a party? I'm like, you throw a reception when you get married. It's a new beginning. This was my new beginning.
Yeah.
So there was no thought that this was going to go viral. It never crossed my mind. And then a reporter got in touch and she said, oh, I want to cover your party. Because somebody had put it up on their social media
Right.
about, somebody threw a divorce party. Would you do one? And she's like, I want to talk to you. So I spoke to her. And I said, where does this go? She said, we put it out on our network. If someone picks it up, so be it.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I was in the office on a Monday morning, merrily working away. My friend calls and went, Sonia, you're in the mirror. And I was like, what? He was like, you're in the mirror. I went, are you lying? He went, you are in the mirror.
Yeah.
So there was this big spread on woman throws divorce party. And initially it was like, okay, fine, it's in the mirror. I didn't have any thoughts of it going anywhere else. I told my mum and dad and they were okay-ish. And then I started getting the notifications from India. Boy, you're trending on social media. Notifications, Indian woman throws divorce party, Indian woman throws divorce party.
It was in the papers in India as well.
It was everywhere. Magazines, news. Like, you know when you get notifications on your phone of news alerts?
Yeah.
I was on news alerts. So my nephew texted me and went, boy, you are trending on social media. I was like, are you serious? And then that's when the trouble started because my mum and dad were like, divorce? You got a divorce? You didn't have to tell the whole world.
Of course, South Asian parents are like, hide
and my
it.
mum and dad were like, your nieces and nephews aren't going to get married now. Everybody's going to know there's a divorcee in the family. And we actually had a family wedding coming up. And I said, if my niece is getting married into a family that's so backward, then that isn't the right family for her anyway.
Absolutely.
So my family were kicking off. And we've got, you know how everyone has their family group chats. One of my cousins actually put it in the group chat and said, you know, look what Sonia's done. And then my other cousin phoned her and said, delete it out of the group chat.
Yeah.
It's not the right place. So there was a lot of family tension over it.
Yeah.
But for me, it changed a lot of things. It changed the landscape of everything because it did open up that conversation.
Yeah.
It did change people's views. My cousin, the one that put it in the group, she said, my daughter looks up to you now.
Aww.
You are her role model because you've opened up the voice for everyone in our family.
Yes.
Not, there's obviously external people, but as our family,
Yeah.
I've got over 30 first cousins. I'm the only divorcee.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big deal. I got divorced when I was 40 and my dad's words were, but who's going to look after you when you get old? I was like, Dad, there's no guarantee that, you know, the person's going to be around or they're going to look after you, or I might go first. But I was like, what sort of question is that? And then obviously he was really upset with me, didn't want to talk to me properly, but they get over it, hey? They get over it.
They did eventually. My parents weren't on board for about 7 years.
7 years?
So that was my biggest battle. So in 2010, I decided I wanted out. And I was pregnant with my second son at the time.
Right.
And my ex worked for my family. I'd given up my job. I went to work for my family.
Right.
So financially, we were completely beholden by my family. So, and I don't really talk about, there was a lot of animosity. That's all gone now. The boys see their dad. There is, you know, it's fairly easygoing. We never had a custody battle. But he wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. But we were both beholden by my family. And that was really hard. That was the hardest bit because it was that old school mentality. You're ruining our lives. But what about me? What about my children? And so when people say the divorce, my biggest battle was actually my mum and dad. 7 years it took me to get them on board. And I'd go round there and I'd see them, and my mum was, you know, very emotional about the whole thing. My dad would be like, go home, go home. I said, I'm going from the frying pan into the fire because when I went home, he was there. And when I was at my mum and dad's, my mum and me clashed so much. My dad would be like, go home, go home. I'm like, go home to where? And the reason it took so long is because I didn't have their support and we both worked for them.
So you didn't feel you had a home?
No, I didn't.
Go
My car.
there, your car.
My car. If anything, I write a lot and it's all on Facebook and I've got quite a few articles published. And the one thing, it was my car was my safe haven, but where I cried. It was my car for years.
So sorry you felt that way. And it's so important. I think for a woman, the home is, as they say, where the heart is.
Yeah. And I wouldn't call it a home for when I've written about my journey, right? The house.
The house.
Until I turned it into a home. And it's not, I don't say it as a reflection on him as well. We were all unhappy, me, him and the kids. So yes, I fought my way out, but I think in the long run, I did a favour for him as well. He may not see it that way. I don't know. We don't talk about it. We have a amicable relationship for the sake of the children. But I personally think I did all of us a favour.
Yes, somebody has to take that first step, no matter how painful it is. So what was the turning point in your life that made you challenge traditional South Asian views on marriage and self-worth?
Do you know what? I just think it built over time. I can't say there was a specific point where I thought, okay, this is it, I'm done. I think there was lots of things to the build-up of it. And the thing is, I realised I was so deeply unhappy. All I did was cry. I would go to events, I'd go to weddings, I'd go to parties, even my own children's events. I was there, but I wasn't there. And I was lost. I'd completely lost myself. So was there one waking moment where I thought, oh my God, I need to get out? No. There was a multitude of emotions that got me to that point. And that's when I sat with mum and dad and said, look, I want out. And they're like, well, you can't. And I was like, okay. And it wasn't that simple. It wasn't just like an okay. There was a lot of crying, screaming, shouting. A lot of that went on. But I think it was purely persistence and perseverance that got me out. I mean, I could have given up at any one point. But I just think I noticed that I was so deeply unhappy. And I wasn't the best mum to my kids because I was so caught up in my own crap. So for me, I just had to challenge it. It's irrelevant of what mum said, what dad said. My sister, bless her, she was stuck in the middle. But there wasn't one particular waking moment where I thought, okay, this is it. I'm getting out. I think it was recognising that I was just deeply unhappy and I need to do what was right for me and the children. And as I've evolved, actually it was right for me, my children and him.
Of course. They don't always see it at the time, but
No.
yes, I can imagine. So that was your self-worth moment.
Yeah.
So your viral divorce party, obviously it sent a really powerful message, and even you said your niece looks up to you. What was the most unexpected response you received from it?
I think really my mum and dad. Well, actually, that wasn't unexpected. I think the unexpected was that, in fact, it went viral. I think people were just reaching out. I didn't realise there were so many people in similar situations. I thought it was just me. Because I'd led such a closed life up until that point. Barely on social media. Really didn't know anything about it. Like, I'd literally just started venturing out. So I got my divorce in March 2021, and I threw the party in September. And that was just with my friends, like the people that I hung out with. And it was after that that I realised there's a whole community of people out there that need support, that need help. And it was people reaching out, and actually not just women, men. And that's the thing that really struck a chord, because there were so many men stuck in unhappy situations and they're too scared to leave because they're worried they're not going to see their kids.
Oh.
And that is a thing that I'm a big advocate of, is trying to make parents understand not to use their children as tools in the divorce.
I've heard so many stories, and I do feel sometimes they use the kids as a weapon.
Yeah.
I'm going to hurt you with this. I'm going to tell the kids something, or you're not going to be able to see the kids. And most of the time it is the father who suffers.
It is. I have a number of clients male clients, and they don't see their children. And I think that is so wrong, because for me, I'm come from the childcare background anyway. These beautiful souls, we brought them into the world. It's not their fault. Let them see their mum and dad. You didn't get on with that person. You didn't get on with that partner. That's fine. But it's not the children's fault. But sadly,
I mean, obviously, sometimes there are situations where it's safer for the child not to. But yeah, there are sometimes where it could be a lot more amicable. But the adults,
too bitter.
Yeah.
They're too bitter. Look, my divorce was not amicable by any means. We were living in the same house. We were battling each other. But the one thing I never did, and he never did, was put the children through a custody battle, me or him. We made a very easy routine. He had them 3 nights, I had them 4 nights. Sounds crazy, even though we were living under the same roof. But that also made it easier if I wanted to go out or he wanted to go out. He would, if he was having the kids at night, I'd just go upstairs or I'd go out. If it was his responsibility, he'd be downstairs doing it. And that way the kids, when the divorce actually happened and he moved out, they knew dad's nights, mum's night. And it was so easy, if it can even be called easy. But the process was a lot easier for the children because they kind of knew what was happening anyway.
It's very grown up. Very, like, there's a lot of couples who just couldn't do that.
Sometimes your situation doesn't give you any choice. My situation didn't allow anything else. I had nowhere to go. I was living in this environment and I had to make it work. And it was hard. It was really hard. So the nights he had the kids and say they had a falling out because my old one would speak up sometimes, I couldn't even get involved. I just had to keep my mouth shut. It was really difficult. And I come across here like, it's all great and it's wonderful. Trust me, it was not. I've just come out the other side stronger.
So you now do coaching
Yeah.
for going through a divorce.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. How do you help? Well, how do people contact you?
So it's all on social media.
Okay.
A lot of it is word of mouth as well. I don't do the legal side of it. I'm not a lawyer. That's it. But there's this emotional gap that the lawyers are there, everyone else is there, and you've got your friends telling you what to do, you've got your family telling you what to do. But sometimes you just need somebody who's non-biased, who's just going to tell you
How it is?
how it is, right?
Yeah.
And ask the right questions.
Yes.
So I have a knack of asking people the right questions. And I've helped a lot of people in relationships, actually, and they've come out the other side and not divorced. Because I've so many women come to me like, oh, my husband's this and my husband's that. And I'm like, okay, let me ask you a few questions. firstly, are you menopausal? Because that's a big thing, right?
So, yeah, so many people get divorced around menopause, and it's because a man doesn't understand, she doesn't understand.
But actually, if you communicate, you can. And sometimes there's actually nothing wrong in the marriage. And my first question is, what's changed? What's he done differently? And they'll be like, nothing. And I'll be like, okay, so where's the problem? So who has changed? She's like, me. We're like, why? Hormones, different things. They're like, so you're blaming the poor man and he hasn't done anything wrong. He's doing the same thing he was doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Your mindset has changed. So either you need to have an honest conversation and make some choices. And I'm quite happy to say a number of times they've actually come away thinking, okay, actually my marriage isn't failing. I need to look at it from a different perspective.
I also find women, as they get older, menopausal age, they start evolving a lot more than, say, a man.
Yeah.
You know, they might become more spiritual.
Yeah.
They might decide they want more in life because they've always been that homemaker. And then the man doesn't know how to deal with this person who's always been a certain way.
It does happen. But I think if you have honest conversations, you can change that. It can work. Yes, we grow, we evolve. There's so much more about spirituality out there these days. And there's nothing wrong with you and your partner having different hobbies or different things you want, but you need to learn to grow together rather than grow apart. And that's the key. Grow together. Talk.
Love that. Thank you, Sonia. So, Sonia, when you were supposed to be on in March, I'm trying to get hold of you. And I'm like, oh my God, she's on in 2 days. And I'm like, we haven't had a conversation yet. And you were in hospital having a near-death experience.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Because when I finally got hold of you, I was like, are you okay? Because you were in hospital, weren't you? On a ventilator.
Yeah, well, when I spoke to you, I was off the ventilator
okay,
by that point. What can I say? So I had a cough. Off and on, I suffer with asthma. So I've always got a bit of a cough going on. Never thought anything of it. And I remember it clearly, it was a Thursday. And I woke up and I said to Mikhail, my older one, I really don't feel well. I'm going to call the paramedics. And they came out and they were like, I'm in an iron whether to take me in. And they're like, I will take you in. Your oxygen seems fine though. Well, they thought it seemed fine. And when I left, I said, they took me and I said, I think I've got pneumonia, Mikhail. Just like, self-diagnosing myself here. And in honesty, Veena, after that, I don't really remember a lot. All I know is that was the 20th of February and I woke up and it was the 4th of March. So my oxygen levels were really low. They diagnosed me with influenza B, pneumonia and a clot on my lungs. And I woke up on the 4th of March and I said to my mum, what date is it? I said the 4th of March. I'm meant to be going to India tomorrow. She's like, you're not going anywhere. Sit back down. Burnout, I think.
So did you have any, you feeling unwell? You had a cough?
I had a cough and a bit of breathlessness. That was it.
And you had all those things wrong with you?
Yeah. I'm not the kind of person to phone in sick. My last sick day that I was 2010. I kind of just carry on. Oh, in 2020 when there was COVID. But I'm the kind of person, I just carry on. And I think that's part of being a single parent, right? You're on one income, the responsibility of the children. And everyone would say, slow down, Sonia, slow down, Sonia. I'd be like, what for? I'm a social person. I love being out. So when I'm out talking and meeting people, I don't see it as work. I just see it as I enjoy it. But clearly it uses some energy. And I just kept going and going. And I was meant to go to India on the 5th. Thought I'm going to hospital on the 20th. I'll be well and truly fine. A week at the most or whatever. A couple of sets of antibiotics. I'll be on my way to India. Well, I didn't make it to India.
Wow. So what did that teach you, having that near-death experience?
So the first thing, when I woke up, well, I didn't even know I'd been ventilated. I had no idea. So I woke up and everyone around me is crying and my mum's praying and I'm like, she's like doing all these random things on me and with flowers and all. Like, what are you doing, Mum? And I'm like, why? And also I'm like, why are you crying? Yeah. I thought I'd been in there a day. I had no idea. And it was really strange because I had no voice. I was like whispering. But even then, my brain didn't connect. Like, I didn't think, well, where's my voice gone?
Yeah.
I was just like, what's going on? Why is
everyone... you thought it'd just been a day.
I was like, why is everyone making a fuss? All my friends were coming. And they're like, one of my friends was there telling the nurses, she's Ma Shakti. Do you know, she's really strong. She helps women. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Why are you telling this random nurse my life story?
Yeah.
So that was the first thing, was so surreal. And it wasn't until a couple of days later, I was like, what actually happened?
Yeah.
And then everyone started filling me in. And then the bit that really woke me up was when Mikhail said to me, they asked me about your will. That killed it.
Oh.
And he said it so matter of fact. And I said, what? He said, they asked me if you had a will. And I said, well, I do.
Yeah.
But that opened a whole other can of worms, because like life insurance and stuff like that, there is so much paperwork that you need to make sure you do when you go through a divorce. And actually, a lot of my circle were single parents. They were like, oh my God, Sonia, we don't have a will. So my near-death experience taught my friends a lot of things. For me, honestly, I'm still processing. It's hard. If I'm very honest, I'm still finding my feet. What I did used to enjoy before, don't really enjoy as much anymore. So I'm still in the process. It's been like 8 weeks.
When you say things you used to enjoy before but not so much anymore, give me an example. What changed?
I'm like a party girl.
Okay.
I love my music.
Yeah.
I love dancing.
Yeah.
And I've been out a few times, and that connection isn't there as much.
So would you say having that experience has made you maybe a little bit slower, spiritual?
So I've always been really spiritual. There's always been a side of me that's quite spiritual. My family are really spiritual. So yes, there is more of that evolving. It's still a journey for me.
Because you slowed down.
I have.
Do you think your body just cried out to you and said, Sonia, listen to yourself, slow down?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's really, because I went in with a cough. And that is a bit, and yes, I was ill, I was coughing, but I had no idea that I was literally gone. I was on 100% oxygen. 100% oxygen. And one of my aunts said, when I woke up, she said, where did you go? And my first answer was, I saw my dad.
Oh.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I've got a post coming up about this in a couple of weeks near Father's Day. But you know that gap you have, that hole when you really miss somebody? Like that hole in your soul, that's all I can call it. That's gone. And I've got a shiver now. So there was something happened to me while I was away. What? All I know is I saw my dad and he filled that gap that I had, because I was daddy's little girl.
Bless you.
But yeah.
So you filled a hole in your soul. That's so soulful.
Yeah.
So warm. It must be such a warm feeling.
It's really strange because I didn't even notice it. I was talking to a friend and she was saying, talking about me not being, being on a ventilator and not remembering anything. And while we were talking, I said, oh my God. She said, what? When you know that bit when you know you really miss somebody and it just feels incomplete. I said, that's gone. It's just gone. And it's really, there's no other way for me to explain it.
So that near-death experience actually healed you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some shape or form, definitely.
And now, obviously, you said you're not that person that you used to be. Would you say you're calmer, slower? Like what's, if someone was to say, knew you before, but you're now this, what would they say?
I think my friends are a little bit like, they still say, are you okay? Like, you're not yourself. And I'm like, I don't know what myself is right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
But I think for me...
It's like a rebirth.
It is. It is definitely a second life. There is no doubt about it. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, not I was ready to go, but my body was ready to go. There is a calmer sense within me. It may not come out like that. It's still loud and crazy. But from within, there's a calmness. yeah, it's really hard to explain.
Do you know, we could have seen you in March,
Yeah.
but we're seeing you here today, and not that I'm glad you had the near-death
No,
experience.
I know.
You know, it's like, it's so good that we can now hear this part of it, because all the things you're saying, there's so many people that sometimes just need that reset.
Yeah.
They need to accept that they might just be, what's the word? You're just like an autopilot going through life until your body screams at you and says, stop.
Yeah.
It stops you in your tracks like it did for
It
you.
literally stopped me in my tracks. My suitcases were half packed, ready to go to India. I literally woke up and was like, Mum, I'm going tomorrow. She's like, how are you going to go? I said, we're going in a wheelchair, we'll take the oxygen tank. She was like, Bargain, you're not going anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
where would you go?
Yeah.
How would you go? I said, me and you go in wheelchairs. But that's the worry. That's the other side of it. That I was so conditioned to the fact that I had to complete these certain tasks. I had to do this. But no, I don't. So the universe is telling me, you are not doing it. I need to accept that. The best laid plans.
Yeah. So just going back to, you said your son was asked if you had a will, and you said so many of your friends have now learnt from this and they're probably going out and making a will. And yeah, I'll be honest, like most people I hear don't have a will. I made a will when I had my first child and I was 20 at the time. And then over the years it's changed. When I got divorced, obviously it changed again. And one of the things I learnt through going through my divorce was about my pension. Is, you know, you sort things out, you separate things, etc., etc. But with me, with my pension, I didn't realise that because my children are no longer dependent and I'm hadn't put anything in place for my pension, that it wasn't going to go to my children because they were no longer dependent, and I didn't have a spouse. So there's so much to think about when someone goes through a divorce that your lawyer doesn't necessarily tell you to do because it's not their job. They're just executing the divorce as best as they can. But then who tells you that the life admin that you need to do? Because there's no checklist out there.
There is no checklist. I mean, by chance, when I came out of hospital, I happened to phone my life insurance. They're like, oh yeah, it's you and your husband. And I was like, oh God, he would have, if I had died, he would have got like a huge payout.
Wow.
So I was like, oh gosh, I need to change that now. And I've been divorced a number of years, but certain things you just don't realise. So it's a learning curve, right?
It is. And I think, so when you do your divorce counselling, do you tell people to look at these things?
No, but I will now.
Yeah.
Because I've learnt along the way.
Yeah.
Because nobody told me.
Yeah.
It's purely, I happened to phone my life insurance company.
Yeah.
Just to make some inquiries. And she says, yeah. So I said, where would the payout go? She went, to your spouse. I was like, well, he's no longer my spouse and I need to change my policy. I'll tell you, I did that the very next day.
Wow. Yeah. And even updating your will.
Yeah,
You know,
that I did.
All those things have to be done, and the life admin part. But yeah, I learnt the hard. It was just because I was like, oh, let me do a review of my pension. Then he was like, oh, by the way, and I told him the situation. He was like, yeah, so this is what would happen in the event of your death. I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, there's so many things that you don't think about.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely did my will because my children were younger. My older one is now 20, so it's different. But a lot of my friends were like, their children are like similar age to my younger son, like under 18, and they're like, you nearly dying. And there was a whole conversation with Mikhail and the will made us think, what would happen to our kids? Because some of their dads aren't around. Like, my ex is around, he does see the children. So, God forbid something had happened to me, you know, he's still around. But some of my friends, their exes aren't around. So
what advice would you give to someone listening now from what you've learnt from your near-death experience to do with divorce as well? Obviously, one is the will. Anything else that they should be considering?
Do you know, for me, it sounds really crazy, but it's actually having a really strong support network around me. And that's not life admin, but if it wasn't for them, my kids would have been lost as well. That really, a lot of people I had a lot of people, touch wood, and I was so blessed that supported my children. My mum was there and my sister flew in from the States, but they had the support of my community. That was really important. And not all of them are single parents, but that does make a difference. So I've always been one to build a community around my children. They've got me, they've got my friends, they've got my friends' husbands. Practical wise, yeah, there is the will, the pensions, as you've said. I didn't do my life insurance.
Just reviewing everything, I
Yeah,
guess, isn't
it is.
It's a big change in your life, and we forget that there's other things that need to be done too.
You just can't. I mean, I just got divorced and then just carried on. Like, just literally carried on with my life, autopilot. Yeah, moved a few things into my name and then carried on. Didn't look at the other aspects of the admin. But I think the one that has really come up with a lot of my friends is the will. And have something in place. God forbid the worst was to happen and you are a single parent. It is something you don't think about.
Yeah.
I never thought that was going to happen to me.
And so that people do know your wishes, rather than,
Yeah.
you know, you've got 2 kids. One could say, no, but I think mum would have wanted that. And the other one's like, no, but I think mum would have wanted that. If it's all written.
Yeah. I
Then
mean,
it's
I've
clear.
actually had a conversation with my children before about if I was to pass away at my funeral, and my kids think I'm crazy because I was like, I want it all pink and everyone in
course
bright
you do.
colours. And
None of these like white dots on their head and all
yeah,
that.
no, I don't want any of that. And you can play like loud music. And my kids are like, we are not doing that. And I went, yes, you are.
Because I'm going to write it down and
Yeah.
you're going to do it. I'm going to give you instructions.
But, you know, that was just, a general like joking conversation. We were talking about things. But practically wise, I think for me, what I did realise was my community, my friends were really there for my kids, to the point that I didn't know that there was that much love out there for me. Sounds crazy. It was really touching.
That's
You
so
forget
nice.
sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what you just said about jokingly saying to your children, this is what I want at my funeral. But they're going to remember it and they will do it. Or you write a letter. I've done that in my will. I've literally told my kids how I want my funeral step by step. And I'm like, I'm coming back to haunt you if you don't do it like that. They're like, oh my God, Mum's crazy. She's like, we better just do it that way. But it just takes away we don't know what to do. And, you know, they're going to be distraught. And why not just make life easier for them? This is what I want to wear. This is how I want the funeral done. You don't need to do all the traditional Indian things, because I just think some of them are not something I want my children to go through.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, it's like going to give the body a bath and dressing it when you can actually get, the funeral directors to do that. Why would I want my daughter to go through that and then always remember that? Like, I've done it. I've had to do that with my mother-in-law, and
It's hard.
it's something that's stuck in my head. Like, apart from the actual funeral itself, it's like, there was like, she passed away 20 years ago, and there was like 20 women in the room all wanting to give the body a bath, and it's like,
I think
why?
I think there's something about that. It's like it's something to do with old culture, and
I
there is
appreciate
an
all of that.
And I know what you mean, but like, I wouldn't want my children to have to do that. And they
Yeah.
wouldn't anyway, because mum, I don't have any sons.
Yeah.
I don't have any daughters.
Daughters, yeah.
But then I helped carry my dad's casket in,
Oh, wow.
because he doesn't have any sons. And my mamaji turned around to me, you should be here. I said, not now, mamaji, let's walk. Because I wanted to be part of it.
It's really hard because we're so conditioned to do what's traditional, and then you get told off by some auntie or some uncle or your mum or your dad, and it's just like, but I don't want it like that. I don't want my kids to do that. I don't want to do that. So, well done.
Thank you.
For carrying your dad's casket in.
Yeah.
I can imagine how you were probably looked at.
I just snuck in. At one point. So they were already told I snuck in, and my mum would tell me, what are you doing? And I said, it's fine. Because daughters don't do this. And I said, I'm his son.
Yeah. Daughters can be like sons too.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Anything else you'd like to say before we part?
For me, for the divorce journey, I always say, own your journey, own your story, because someone's always going to have something to say. If I hadn't got divorced, they would have said something else. I've got pink hair. Why she got pink hair? Like, someone's always got something to say. But if you need to know your true inner self, if I listen to people along the way, I'd still be married.
And unhappy.
And very unhappy. And I did the right thing for all of us in the long run. So for me, it's own your journey. People are always going to have something to say no matter what. No matter what you do, no matter what you say.
No matter how perfectly you do it, someone's going to find something wrong.
Yeah. And the near-death experience, I'd say listen to yourself. Listen to your body. As a single parent, there's so much pressure on you. So much pressure to be... You need to... Sometimes I think you feel like, as in the South Asian community, you need to prove yourself. Okay, I'm now divorced. I now have to prove myself even more than you had to do before. Because there's always that expectation. You know, you're first a daughter, then you're a wife, then you're a mum. You listen to everybody else. There's never time for you. And so as a single parent, that's
all the labels you get given.
It's even harder. So I think I pushed myself.
Do you know what you said about listening to your body? My friend was in a relationship which wasn't good for her, and she finally made a decision. Right, that's it, it's over. A few months later, she got cancer, and she said, "We don't know, but our body keeps count." And then eventually, when you decide, actually, you know what, I'm not in fight or flight anymore, I've made a decision, I'm going to now do this. And then your body comes and gives you something like that because it's now showing you something different. And she's passed away now. And the one thing she said to me was, listen to your body. It's keeping count of everything. And one day you're going to pay back.
Yeah. It is. I'm really sorry to hear about your friend. It's so hard. So hard. So many people I know that go through stress and difficult times, when they stop or they come out the other side of that situation, something else does hit them.
Yeah. Thank you,
So you need
Sonia.
to do what's right for you.
Thank you so much.
Right, thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you've made it and you're here in all your pink glory.
I love my pink.
Thank you so much. So this episode will be live soon. Don't forget to like, follow, share and subscribe.